Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Sunday, January the 12th. It's Ian Cameron with you solo today for what will be a very quick, brief show. I'll be honest, right off the top, this is an ugly card today. There's 5 games, and you'd think, well, it's not bad for a Sunday, but not a lot of spots that just jump off the page and say, wow, it's a great bet. You know, it's not one of those cards, unfortunately, today. It's like going to the buffet table and all you've got left are breadcrumbs and all you've got left are scraps and all the good food's already been taken. It's kind of what this feels like looking at this Sunday NHL card. But we will be here, as we always are, each and every day to break it all down, and we'll find some things. There are a couple I like, but like I said, this is a card that's not one of my favorites. You got lots of teams on back-to-backs as well. Throws another wrench into the handicap. Makes it a little more tricky, in my opinion. But we'll get to the Sunday games in just a moment. We will first begin with the Saturday NHL card from yesterday. It was a huge slate. It was one of those days where it's like a going to the amusement park and you're on the roller coaster ride. You go up and up and up and up and up, and that's the way the day started. The day started phenomenal, and then kind of goes down after that. Didn't end well. Unfortunately, but it started off well. It was kind of a so-so, day overall. Started out well though, but before that, the Bruins get a 4-3 win against Florida. I really didn't get involved in that game too much. The Bruins with the 4-3 win, give them credit. They desperately needed a win. They found a way to get it yesterday over the Florida Panthers, and we'll see if they can build on that. Again, it's only good if you're going to put some wins together and kind of go on a run. And we'll see if the Boston Bruins have that capability of doing that. So interesting to see how that one or how the Bruins are able to build off that. But certainly great character response by them to win it in overtime with the power play goal by David Pastrnak, because I'll tell you what, that could have been a demoralized team, seeing Reinhart tie the game with just a few seconds left. But they battled, they found a way in overtime. And, Florida actually probably doesn't feel too good they lost because they played a pretty good game. Paul Maurice said all along, I like the way our team's playing, and 43-18, and that was a little bit more like it from Jeremy Swayman, the man they paid the bucks to this year to be their man in net, and he certainly played a lot better yesterday in helping Boston get that 4-3 win. Ottawa, 5-0 against Pittsburgh. The only thing I would have wanted more is one more fucking goal in that game, guys. My goodness. 5-0. Early in the second, not a goal after that. But we did have the first period over, and I was on Ottawa. I said, I like this spot. You can't trust Pittsburgh right after they play a good game. We know that. We've seen this movie play out with them time and time and time again. You don't bet Pittsburgh when they're feeling good off a great win, and especially an upset win like they had against Edmonton. And sure enough, they fall back down to earth. And Ottawa, credit to them. Levi Merilainen, man, very solid effort from him in net. I would go with him again and keep Forsberg on the shelf. Now, today probably they won't because they're in action on a back-to-back. They probably will play Forsberg. But like I said, Merilainen was very solid last night yesterday afternoon in that 5-0 win. Oh, those Buffalo Sabres. And this was a great game for me. I had the over by Fecta, both ends of it cashed. But my goodness, Buffalo Sabres doing Buffalo Sabres things yesterday yet again. And they ended up getting a nice victory there over the Seattle Kraken, over the Buffalo Sabres, rather. Seattle did 6-2. 2-0 Buffalo after the first period. And yes, Seattle tied at 2-2. And you could tell momentum was on their side going into the third. But boy, it just the air came out of the balloon for Buffalo in a hurry in the third period. Bjorkstrand makes it 3-2. Back-to-back goals from Kaapo Kakko to make it 5-2. And then Brandon Tanev seals the deal in the empty net. Just a horrific third period for the Buffalo Sabres at home against Seattle. Lindy Ruff not too pleased after the game about their collapse in the third period. And as we saw yesterday with Kaapo Kakko, clearly he was the problem with the New York Rangers. Yeah, clearly. He had to get him out of there. He was causing so many problems. He's been, as I expected, it's been the breath of fresh air I kind of thought it would be for him in Seattle. They get a nice 6-2 win there. Tampa Bay and New Jersey Devils 3-2 win over the Lightning. I'll tell you this about the Tampa Bay Lightning. They are not a team that's easy to back on the road. We're starting to see this again from them. It's just they're not playing good enough hockey away from Amalie. It continues to be a problem for this hockey team. I mean, they got swept in California. They did win 2 in a row back home, and then they go on the road. They lose to the Devils 3-2 in overtime. Now, they didn't play that bad. It was kind of an even game back and forth, but they end up with another road loss for the Tampa Bay Lightning. So, again, the road issues are starting to pop up again for this hockey team. 9-11 now on the road, 2 games below the 500 mark away from home for the Tampa Bay Lightning after that 3-2 loss to the New Jersey Devils last night in that game. We saw the Philadelphia Flyers just absolutely trounce the Anaheim Ducks 6-0 last night. Cutter Gauthier greeted with a very angry, very not a very good reaction, obviously, from the Philadelphia Flyers fans. They treated him. They definitely rolled out the welcome mat for Cutter Gauthier last night, booed him at every opportunity, and then to make matters worse for Cutter Gauthier and his team, he doesn't score. Obviously, the team gets shut out, and the guy that was on the other end of that trade, Jamie Drysdale, gets a power play goal in the first period for the Philadelphia Flyers, and then the crowd really gets ramped up after that with the Jamie's better chant from the Flyer faithful there after he scored that goal. Pretty funny stuff. There was a great little interaction during the game with Konechny and Cutter Gauthier, and apparently Konechny said something along the lines of, "I'm going to fight you. I promise. I'll effing fight you." Yeah, it was fun. It was good entertainment, to see that whole situation play out. Everyone was entertained except the Anaheim Ducks and their fans. Ugly game for them, 6-0 again for the Philadelphia Flyers last night in that one. I guess the thing that, it's what you get sometimes too with Gibson, right? He was starting to play a little bit better for the Anaheim Ducks, and then, of course, he gives up the 6th spot last night. So that's what you get sometimes from him. How does this Columbus Blue Jackets keep doing what they're doing, man? It's damn impressive last night. We talked about all the injuries. They're another team that's kind of mangled right now with so many key players out, including the latest being Sean Monahan. And all they do is they go to St. Louis with Jet Greaves, who's only got a handful of starts in the NHL under his belt. And they go into St. Louis and they beat the Blues 2-1. So let's give the Blue Jackets a little bit of credit right now for the way they've been playing. Dean Evison. There's another guy. Nobody's talking about what Dean Evison's done with this team this year. Nobody. There's a lot of people and coaches in the league that are getting praise from media and pundits, but there's not a lot of people saying much about what Dean Evison's doing in Columbus. And he should be talked about, about what he's done with this young Jackets group, especially now with some of the injuries they've had to deal with. So great win for them on the road, too, where they've had more of their problems. Winnipeg, 3-0 win against Colorado. Excellent bounce back for the Jets after losing to the LA Kings. Solid performance, great defensive performance. They only yield 22 shots. Hellebuck turns aside all 22 shots. And the Winnipeg Jets with the 3-0 shutout win over the Colorado Avalanche. Toronto, a dud, not pretty lethargic in the building. The team was lethargic on the ice. Looked like they were skating in quicksand. And for the Vancouver Canucks, despite flight issues and back-to-back and struggles and getting to Toronto the morning of the game due to those flight delays, they go into Toronto and they shut out the Leafs. And another great road start, one of many he's had this year for Kevin Lankinen, who is excellent in net. Vancouver with the 3-0 win there. Unfortunately, no Moss for the system play there in that game. Edmonton, Chicago, 4-3 Oilers comeback, and now 9 straight first period overs for the, or 10 straight now first period overs for the Chicago Blackhawks. 13-1 now over in their last 14 games. And Edmonton, though, with the comeback win 4-3 over the Blackhawks there in that game. Dallas with the 2-1 shootout win over the Montreal Canadiens. We took Montreal in the draw. I'm okay with the result. We got the draw, which was great. Montreal is just, another solid effort from them. It was a very even game. Shots were 33-31 for Montreal. In fact, I thought Montreal had the better chances, the better of the play in the overtime, but there was one good chance Robertson had, and he couldn't convert on it. But the overtime was nuts. The pace was off the chart. Both goalies had to make big saves in overtime. Jake Ottinger and Sam Montembeault. It was the overtime was really a lot of fun, no doubt. But it didn't solve anything, and it took to a shootout to get it done. And the Dallas did get the 2 points in the shootout as they extend their win streak. And the Montreal Canadiens, that close again from beating one of the top teams in the NHL. They almost added to that great resume. Vegas, Colorado, Tampa Bay, Florida, Washington, the teams Montreal's beaten lately. But they were not quite able to do it last night as Dallas gets the 2-1 victory in a shootout over Montreal. John Massey, in our DM was talking about this. I mentioned it on the show yesterday. How was Nashville priced minus 140 in that game? I know Washington back-to-back. I know Washington's going to lose a few games. They're not going to keep winning at the clip they have in the first 40, but we were all baffled that Nashville was laying that big of a price. You can make Nashville a favorite, minus 110, minus 115, but them being minus 140 was absurd. And Washington gets a nice 4-1 win there against the Nashville Predators. That's why Spencer Carberry is a Coach of the Year, Jack Adams candidate. How many times is this team off a bad performance? And the Montreal game really wasn't a great game for Washington when they lost to the Canadiens because they didn't generate a whole lot. Montreal took it to them. So it was a subpar performance from the Capitals, but he's gotten so often a great effort from this team after a bad game. And it happened again last night, 4-1 win for the Washington Capitals over the Nashville Predators there in that one. I didn't have any betting, and that's rare for me when I say I have zero on a game betting-wise, and that was for me with the Islanders and the Utah Hockey Club. Just steered clear of it. I figured it could be a 2-1 game for somebody, and that's exactly what it was, a 2-1 win for the New York Islanders. Utah better think about how we can get this team, when we're playing at home, how do we get this team, in a frame of mind to play a better game at home? I mean, it's got to be disappointing for the home fans. They're so excited to have the team. They're so excited to have professional hockey at the highest level, in Salt Lake City. And they just continue to have all kinds of issues right now, winning on home ice. Islanders with a 2-1 win there. Calgary, 2-1 win over the LA Kings. Kings lose on the second of a back-to-back. Hungry like the wolf. Dustin Wolf was rock steady once again in net as he's been often, especially at the Saddle Dome. Calgary with a 2-1 win there. The Lamborghini up to his old tricks. 2 fights for him in that game last night. Minnesota decimated, but sometimes when you play a team like the San Jose Sharks, it doesn't matter. And Minnesota, despite all the injuries, able to get a 3-1 win against the San Jose Sharks last night. But Marc-Andre Fleury, old man, Father Time, turned back the clock with one of his better performances. He had to turn aside 36 of 37 shots for the Minnesota Wild. He was really strong in net, and he outdueled the young phenom, the young future prospect, the young potential future number 1 of the San Jose Sharks, Yaroslav Askarov, to get the Minnesota Wild into the win column with a 3-1 win there. And then disappointing, man, for the Vegas Golden Knights. You lay an egg against the Islanders. You got a Rangers team that's obviously been running bad for well over a month, maybe 2 months, although the Rangers have shown a little flicker, a glimmer of hope with some of their recent performances. But, losing 2-1 at home to the New York Rangers is not good. What is good for the Rangers is Igor Shesterkin. I think a really good game from him, and a sign that, if he's always got that capability still to be your best player, and he certainly was last night. Outdueled Samsonov, and the Rangers get a big 2-1 win. And Adam Edstrom, typical of the Rangers, that the game-winning goal comes from one of their foot soldiers, not Zibanejad or Kreider or Panarin. No, Adam Edstrom down on the fourth line. And it was a hard-working type of goal too. It was created because of hard work, and that's exactly why. The Rangers, to me, I've said it all along, the players that even in the losses, even in this horrible run they've had, their best players have been their third, fourth line guys. It's been your Will Coolies of the world. It's been, a guy like Adam Edstrom who steps up and gets the game winner last night. It's been a lot of these down the lineup players that have been some of the better players for the New York Rangers. And they get a big 2-1 win last night in Vegas. So that's 2 losses in a row for Vegas. And Vegas is in action tonight again against the banged up Wild. So that's an intriguing game to handicap there. tonight. All right, 5 games on tap for this Sunday. We will begin with Seattle and Detroit, which is actually, one of the games I actually do have a pretty strong opinion on. One of the few on this Sunday board. We've got Detroit minus 160, home favorites, 6 the total, shaded to the under here in this game. Seattle, much needed win. It's been a rough stretch of hockey, to say the least, for this Seattle Kraken team. But they end up getting a 6-2 win on the road against the Buffalo Sabres last night, putting an end to what was a 4-game losing streak. Now they'll try to carry that momentum into this game against the Detroit Red Wings. I am not stepping in front of Detroit, flat out. We know that. This team has now ripped off a tremendous run under Todd McClellan. Since losing the first game with him behind the bench against Toronto, they've won 6 in a row since then. They're playing with, there's a lot of things that are a lot better about Detroit. The defensive game is picking up and improving, but they're playing with much greater pace. The puck movement in the offensive zone, it's not stagnant like it used to be. They're zipping that puck around, and it's especially noticeable when you watch Detroit on the power play since McClellan got there. Big time difference in what we are seeing from Detroit as far as that goes. Their power play, it is on absolute fire. They have scored at least 1 power play goal in every game under Todd McClellan, and they've had 4 of those 7 McClellan games where they have scored where they've scored 2 power play goals. So that power play is humming right now for the Detroit Red Wings, which it should be a good power play. You look at the roster, you should have a good power play with the people you can put out there, with Patrick Kane and Alex DeBrincat and Dylan Larkin. And you should have a good power play. It was ridiculous how bad it was before. There's no excuse for that. Unacceptable with the forward group you have a power play that was struggling like it was early in the year. So it's great to see it turning around right now. Like I said, for Seattle, they had struggled a bit offensively. They had really a breakout third period last night or yesterday afternoon to beat Buffalo. We'll see if they can carry that over here into this matinee affair. Keep in mind, there's a 3 p.m. Eastern start time at the Pizza Box, Little Caesars Arena, for this Kraken Red Wings game. Philip Grubauer is projected as the goaltender here for the Seattle Kraken. This is back-to-back for them. Joey Decord made his return yesterday against Buffalo, so you would think Grubauer gets the nod, and as we've documented, Grubauer has had a down season by his standards. Cam Talbot is expected for the Seattle Kraken here in this game. He got the start Friday night when they beat the Chicago Blackhawks 5-3. They do expect it'll be Cam Talbot again, because remember, Alex Lyon remains on the IR. We'll see how this one plays out. Detroit, I think, wins, but minus 160. I don't like Detroit in that price range. They could clearly win this game. I would say take Detroit team total over 3.5, get plus money. If you like the Red Wings, that's the better bet than minus 160 on the money line. But for me, this is over by Fecta. Just like yesterday with Seattle, just like with Detroit, majority of the games since the coaching change. I think we're now at 7 games since the coaching change. We are now at 5-2 for the first period over for the Detroit Red Wings since the coaching change, 6-1 to the full game over for the Detroit Red Wings since the coaching change. So the over by Fecta I like here. In fact, I'm not in love with some of these games over the total today, but this is the one for sure that probably of all of them that I like the most here is Seattle Detroit here over by Fecta. I'm just confirming it. 5-2 first period over, 6-1 full game over for this Detroit Red Wings team in the 7 games since the coaching change. So, like I said, Detroit's not a team I'm stepping in front of. I just don't like minus 160, a price like that. Not to mention, we say this too, the team that loses a bunch of games, they finally win one. There's often a little bump and shot in the arm, momentum. And sometimes when you lose 4, 5, 6 in a row and you win the first game to snap a losing streak, then you win 2, 3 in a row. So don't put it past Seattle to do that. But obviously with Detroit's run under Todd McClellan, rest advantage, the whole bit, I'm not stepping in front of them. I'm just with the over by Fecta here. All right, next up, we've got Anaheim and Carolina. This is one of 3 games that begin at 5 p.m. Eastern time on this Sunday. We've got Carolina minus 540. That's right, 540. Home favorites here, the Carolina Hurricanes in this game. And the total sitting at 6, shaded to the over. between these two teams. You know what? I can't see any reason for any NHL team over another NHL team to ever be minus 540 home favorites. I can't justify that. I can't. I can't justify that. And the one thing I like for Anaheim is they saved Lukas Dostal, by far their best goalie for this game here against the Carolina Hurricanes. They used Gibson last night. They're going to go with Lukas Dostal here tonight in this one. Carolina's off back-to-back home wins against Vancouver and Toronto. There's not a sense of urgency for them. This is a late Sunday afternoon start. And Anaheim has won 3 of the last 4 meetings versus Carolina, believe it or not, including one a couple years ago here in Carolina. Now, last year in Carolina, Carolina won 6-3. But Anaheim's actually been a bone of contention here for the Hurricanes. In fact, you go back even further, 10 meetings since 2018, 6-4 Anaheim in those 10 meetings. So this is just, to me, minus 540 is nuts. There's no doubt Carolina should be a hefty favorite. 400 even, I could live with that. But minus 540 now, still an NHL club on the other side, albeit, one that's kind of struggling again. I'd love it if Troy Terry's back, but I don't think that's going to be the case because they do miss him badly. And you see it, they just really miss him. He's still away for personal reasons. He didn't travel to start with the road trip. He probably won't play. He didn't play last night. I wouldn't expect him to be rejoining the team in time to play this game. So, like I said, this is just one of those, take this plus 400 price. It's just Carolina's overpriced, and Anaheim has given them some problems. I mean, it's not like we're taking Anaheim here plus 400 and Carolina's beaten them 10 straight times. Couldn't be further from the truth. Anaheim's actually got a winning record, 6-4 in their last 10 head-to-head games against Carolina. So you have to sprinkle something on them at this price. It's plus 400 on an NHL team. It's not like the Carolina Hurricanes are playing the Orlando Solar Bears, from the East Coast Hockey League. This is still an NHL team. So, Anaheim plus 400. I'm on the over by Fecta because this is a system play game. Anaheim shut out last night 6-0 by the Philadelphia Flyers. This one and look, it was a bad day for the system play. Let's be honest. I mean, actually, the Ottawa-Pittsburgh was tough. That full game should have went over. But other than the first period over of the Ottawa-Pittsburgh game, that was it as far as the system play games. Nothing hit with Vancouver-Toronto. Nothing hit with the Rangers in Vegas. And you only had the first period over cashing in the Ottawa-Pittsburgh game. So it was a rough day for the system play. What is that? 1-5, with the full game first period over legs, and the 3 games would fit the system play yesterday. But the numbers are still strong overall. Like, we're still talking, almost 20 games above 500 overall with this. So you still got to go with it. The over by Fecta in these situations with the system play. But again, I'm lower in the units on this one as far as the over by Fecta, the system play, as far as this game's concerned. Yes, Jordan Staal's on fire. I totally agree. It's pretty crazy that this has come up out of nowhere, that he's just all of a sudden, it started with that huge game he had against Toronto. And since then, he's just hasn't been stopped. He's plus 360, score a goal, still a great price. 100% agree with that. Is getting involved more in the offense. It's funny because Rod Brindamore was saying we need a little bit more from some of our veterans offensively and some of our depth guys. Well, on this hockey team, who's a veteran, who's a depth guy, because he doesn't skate on the top 6. He's a third-line center. He's a veteran. He's a depth guy. Rod Brindamore was calling out some of those players for more offense, and the captain, Jordan Staal, has certainly answered the call of his head coach. 5 goals for Jordan Staal in the last 3 games combined. So, it'll be interesting to see how this one goes. And Eric Staal jersey retirement night. So, yeah, that's, as you can kind of tell, that's a player prop I really like, a player prop we might be getting back to later on in the show in a certain segment that everybody loves. But, yeah, I like the over by Fecta here and certainly look at Anaheim plus money. There are a couple props here for Anaheim that I am interested in. Not Cutter Gauthier tonight, that's for sure. Sam Colangelo is the one I'm thinking of. He is playing with Vetrano and Strome. Top 6 opportunity. Scored against St. Louis in the 6-2 loss to the Blues that night. He's had 2 shots on goal, I should say, in back-to-back games. Great value. Sam I am Colangelo here for the Anaheim Ducks. Plus 700. Really nice price. Worth a shot. Worth a shot. All right, next up, we've got Dallas and Ottawa back-to-back for both teams. Dallas had to play Montreal at night. Later, Ottawa got the earlier game against Pittsburgh, but they had to travel a lot further. It's a lot further to get to from Pittsburgh to Ottawa than Montreal to Ottawa. We've got Dallas minus 140 road favorites. Total in this one at 5.5 across the board. Actually, 6s and 5.5s. It's a split line right now with the total. So make sure you shop around. Some books have 5.5, some have 6 for this Dallas and Ottawa game. I like the draw here a little bit. I think it's one of those games, once again, where you've got Ottawa trying to build a little momentum. They snapped a losing streak with a 5-0 shutout win over the Pittsburgh Penguins. Dallas has now gone 3 of their last 4 games past regulation. You're going to have goaltending. I don't want to say subpar goaltend. I shouldn't say subpar, actually, about DeSmith. DeSmith's been rock steady here for the Dallas Stars as far as net minding. We should see him on the back-to-back. Anton Forsberg for Ottawa, likely going to start. That should be your goalie matchup. Just hasn't been confirmed yet, but that is what I'm expecting here with Dallas and Ottawa. But yeah, the starting to become a nice little Dallas draws, Dallas draw machine lately. All of a sudden on this road trip here, 3 of the last 4 games. That's probably what I would go with here in this game. I don't have a strong opinion or betting stance on the side or the total. I mean, Dallas, I'm not stepping in front of them. So by default, we lean Dallas here. 7 straight wins for them. You look at head-to-head, they've beaten Ottawa 3 of the last 4 times. That being said, in Ottawa, this has been a rough building for this team. They have lost 4 straight times here at Canadian Tire Center, this Dallas Stars team, to the Ottawa Senators. So keep an eye on that. You know, it's definitely been a place that's been difficult for them in the past. Doesn't mean it will be today, but that's definitely something to be aware of going into this matchup. But yeah, in this game here, draw. That's about it. I mean, that really is. I mean, DeSmith versus Forsberg should be interesting, but I think why Casey DeSmith, .916 save percentage, 2.24 goals against average in his 10 starts. Casey DeSmith has also not given up more than 2 goals since late November. That's a long-ass time ago. I believe that was a game against Chicago, Alex's Blackhawks, and I remember that game. It's Casey DeSmith had a rough night. He hasn't had a rough night since then in the opportunities he's gotten. So, yeah, no doubt. Yeah, it is. Claude Giroux, the birthday boy, that makes sense. You know, it's to look for him for a goal prop. I know Cuban Wayne Gretzky is really someone that really buys into the player scoring a goal on their birthday when they play on their birthday. So, and I've seen it win a bunch of times. But yeah, plus 442. You can get a great price like that with Claude Giroux. So I don't mind that look at all for the Ottawa Senators here. For me, Parlay Pinto was great yesterday against Pittsburgh. We've talked about him a lot. Even though, again, he's kind of cooled off with the spot, despite being in the spot in the lineup he's been in lately. I don't mind going back to taking a shot again with Ridley Gregg on the Ottawa Senators side. Although I think finally he's been dropped a little bit in the lineup. Batherson has been on a roll, certainly for the Ottawa Senators. Then you look at the Dallas side. You know, I keep talking about Evgeny Dodonov for them. Someone that may be worth a look here as far as a prop is concerned, playing with Hintz and Robertson. Again, that line has shown some nice chemistry. Wyatt Johnston, I feel he's going to score today, Wyatt Johnston. He had a couple of good chances there last night against the Montreal Canadiens. We'll see. Ben is starting to rip and roar, as Matt says in the chat. So, yeah, Jamie Benn, the captain, not a bad option there as well for goal props. So I like the draw. I'm staying off the total, staying off the side. Lean Dallas, but just the draw and some player props. Giroux, Dodonov, Gregg, Pinto. Ben is probably worth a look. Johnston. Those are some of the props I'm interested in for that one. All right, we got 2 games left on this Sunday NHL slate. We've got next up Tampa Bay, Pittsburgh. Tampa Bay minus 145 road favorites. Total 6.5 across the board. Man. I just don't like enough what I'm seeing out of Tampa. To Tampa Bay, I want to take them. You're losing. You're off the loss last night. Pittsburgh's a get-well team for teams that are better than them. Tampa is still better than them, and they're off a loss, and it's a get-well spot for Tampa. But how many times do they have to lose on the road before I'm ready to trust them? And that's where I'm at with Tampa. And, you're laying minus 145 here in this game. No. Tampa Bay on the road is starting to show me those troubling signs of last year where, even mediocrity, teams that were mediocre, like a Pittsburgh, for example, were beating them, And just look at the California road trip. You lost to Anaheim and San Jose. I rest my case, You're 9-11 on the road. Pittsburgh's actually 12-8-3 at home. Pittsburgh actually has one game above 500 at PPG Paints Arena here in Pittsburgh. So, I don't want to be against Tampa Bay when they finally win. I feel like Pittsburgh, if I take them, Tampa's going to win, And I also feel this is one of those games too. And if I feel I take Tampa Bay, Pittsburgh's going to win. It's like if I take Tampa Bay, Pittsburgh will win, and I'm going to say it was stupid of me to take this Tampa team on the road with the way they've been playing away from home. And if I take Pittsburgh, I'm like, what a fucking idiot. Tampa's the better of these two teams. They were going to, bounce back from a loss. And they're the better team. What are you thinking? So when I have those kind of emotions going through my head, stay off it. And that's exactly what I'm doing here. As far as the side goes, we do have the system play here, so we do have to bet first period over, full game over in this game. This one I feel better about than the Anaheim-Carolina game because Dostal does frighten me. He can put up a monster game, a massive performance. Anaheim consistently being able to score bothers me. Carolina's, kind of playing, played more of a tight checking game in their win against Vancouver. So if the system play was not in effect, I probably wouldn't be betting overs in that Anaheim-Carolina game. This one is different. This one I might still be betting overs in this game, even if it wasn't the system play, because we are probably going to see Jonas Johansson here for the Tampa Bay Lightning back-to-back after it was Vasilevsky that got the nod last night for them against the New Jersey Devils. Pittsburgh, obviously, in the 5-0 shutout loss to Ottawa, started Alex Nedeljkovic. Actually, it was Jari. And then Nedeljkovic after that. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out because one of those two guys is going to get the start here for them in this game, and it'll be interesting to see who that is for the Pittsburgh Penguins because both goalies got in yesterday. But either way, I like the full first period over, full game over here with this game. Staying off the side, like I said, it's just no. Yeah, Tampa's the better team. Wouldn't shock me if they win this, but not the kind of conviction. And Pittsburgh's actually in the series history 6-2, the last 8 meetings between these two teams, and actually we're 6-3-1 to the over in the last 10 meetings is between the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Pittsburgh Penguins. So there's a little more fuel to the fire, a little bit more fuel for your confidence, if you will. We got to stop using fire in all these, sayings of mine, especially with the folks what they're dealing with in California. It should fuel the confidence seeing the fact that we've got a strong over series history here with the Lightning and the Penguins. All right, Minnesota and Vegas. Last game on the board. We've got Vegas minus 190, minus 200 in some spots. The total here sitting at 6, shaded to the over in this game. Just a remarkable run lately for Minnesota because of who they've been missing, obviously in the lineup, which we have talked about quite a bit. I mean, it's pretty amazing that the Minnesota Wild, and here they are entering this. This is the only night game, by the way, on this Sunday slate. Aiden Hill will be in net for Vegas, confirmed. It'll probably be Philip Gustafson for Minnesota since it was Fleury last night. But again, and look, it's San Jose, so maybe we shouldn't be too excited or enthused about the win last night, but I don't care who you're playing in the NHL. The Sharks are still an NHL team, and you're still without Jonas Brodin and Jared Spurgeon and Brock Faber, easily, not even close, your 3 best defensemen on the team. You're still without Kirill Kaprizov, and you're still finding ways to win games here going into this matchup against Vegas. Problem is, Vegas is going to wake up at some point. That's now. It was one thing to be smoked and lay an egg and have a clunker against the Islanders. It's another thing to have it, back-to-back games where you now lose at home against the New York Rangers, and you start a long road trip after this. This is the last game at home for the Vegas Golden Knights for, I believe, a decent amount. Well, no, it's only a 3-game road trip, and then they're back home for 1 game, then they're back on the road for 2 more after that. So 5 of their next 6 games after tonight are on the road, for this Vegas Golden Knights team. This is an important game. You don't want to lose 3 straight at home. I don't think they've lost 3 straight at home all year, if I'm not mistaken, the Vegas Golden Knights. We're going to do a quick look-see here and see if we can find out. But, for a team that's 17-6 overall this season here at T-Mobile Arena, it doesn't seem like a team that's lost 3 in a row this season. Or if they did, maybe it happened once. But let me just go back and look at Vegas at home. I'm positive they didn't. No. 2 losses in a row at home is the most they've had all year. They have not lost 3 straight at home. So, sorry, Minnesota. You had a nice win last night, but you're still banged up. You're beaten up to shit and decimated with all these guys out of the lineup. This is Vegas first period puck line for me tonight in this one. That's probably the best approach. I might even go a step further and instead of Vegas team total, because look, they've scored 1 goal in their last 2 games. Maybe they grind out a 2-0 win. Maybe they grind out a 3-0 win, a 3-1 win type of deal tonight. Usually I go team total over 3.5 when I like teams in this spot. I'm going to go with the puck line split. First period, full game puck line split, just in case it's one of these 2-0, 3-0, 3-1 final scores. That's kind of what I'm interested in here. So first period puck, you got to jump on this team. They're mangled. They're coming in from San Jose. You've now lost 2 in a row. You got to, and this is your last home game before you go on the road for 3. Got to get it done here if you're Vegas. There's no excuses. This is a beaten up team coming in here. So yeah, Vegas first period puck line, Vegas full game puck line. Good prices on both. Vegas first period puck line is -0.5 plus 150. Full game puck line is -1.5 around plus 140 is what you can get with that. So pretty good prices. I probably will have a small piece of the over 3.5 team total for Vegas, but smaller than the puck line bets. The puck line bets are what I like the better here in this game. But I feel like this is one of these deals where for Minnesota, you fought the good fight. Remember, Colorado, a class team in the Western Conference, beat up Minnesota 6-1, the other night with all these injuries. We do have to remember that was the San Jose Sharks last night. That's not a team in the stratosphere of a Colorado or a Vegas in this case tonight. So, yeah, like I said, I think Vegas got to get the job done here. Aiden Hill's in net. Not that Samsonov was to blame last night, but yeah, we'll go with Vegas here in this spot. We'll split it up. First period puck line, full game puck line, and just a pinch on the team total over here in this one. All right, great stuff. We appreciate everybody joining us here. Shout out to everybody. Hit the like button before we wrap things up. And by the way, we're now looking at a couple of days now away from our live betcast, our Patreon exclusive live betcast. There you see it on the screen. Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. It's our first Ice Guys live betcast of the new year, and it is our first Patreon exclusive live betcast of the season. This Tuesday, January 14th, 7 p.m. Eastern time. The only way to watch the betcast, the only way to join us on the stream on the betcast is to be a Patreon member. You got 48 hours to do it if you want to be part of one of the most fun experiences I have doing this show, and that's the betcasts. Patreon.com/Ice Guys, just $10 per month. Again, you'll get access to all of our exclusive live betcasts throughout the rest of the season. You will get, obviously, goalie charts, totals charts, our daily betting cards, sides, totals, player props posted on the page. So make sure you check that out. Sign up now if you haven't already. We're pushing for 250 members. We're over the 200 mark now. Make sure you sign up. And again, your $10 subscription goes a long way to supporting the show and keeping us going and on the air for the long run, for the long haul, which we plan on being. We plan on doing this show. We've talked about this for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Like, why wouldn't we? We love doing this show. We think we've got good enough support. I'm not changing careers anytime soon, and I know Alex isn't. Why the hell wouldn't we be doing this show 10, 20 years from now? If, that's the goal. That's what we're thinking. This is going to be something this is going to be like the NFL Fox pregame show, which has now been on the air for 30 years. We're going to be on the air for 30 years if we have our way. So again, patreon.com/Ice Guys. Make sure you sign up, just $10 per month. And also make sure you check out the Ice Guys store. We have free standard shipping for the rest of the weekend. iceguys.myspreadshop.com. All right, bargain bin special of the night. Best bets coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Manscaped, Power Play Sportsbook, Raise Your Game, Tailgater Social, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page. Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
Shout out to all our great Ice Guys sponsors, including Boston Hemp Inc. Make sure you check them out. 20% off all orders on the website using the promo code IceGuys at bostonhempinc.com. I do want to answer. There's a question there about how do you get into this full time from somebody in the chat. There it is. Limited. How do you become a full? So I got into this in 2010, and I got into the business at a time where I was fortunate to know people. They gave me an opportunity. They saw I was pretty good at picking winners, pretty good at handicapping early as a young man compared to now. Teddy Covers gave me an opportunity at Sports Memo, forever indebted to him, and Aaron Renning for that matter. They're the ones that brought me onto that website 15 years ago. But again, people like me were at a premium back then. Sports betting was frowned upon. There was no public, promotions of sports betting. Yet there was still a need and a want for people to pay for handicappers and pay for picks and do all that and get sports betting content. But I came in at a time when there was much fewer of us, and the opportunities, I think, to get in there's a lot more opportunities available now since, everything got legalized, but it's also a lot more competition for those positions, for those opportunities, for those roles. And so I think it is definitely, a little bit tougher these days. Even though there's more opportunities and gigs and, abilities to get yourself into the industry, but you're also competing with a lot more fucking people compared to who I was competing with 15 years ago, even 10 years ago. So, that's the way you look at it. So again, what I would say is to get into it full time, be dedicated, really pour in your hours to handicapping, because I find the more time you put into it, the better your results are going to be. So put in the time, create some sort of public platform to document your stuff, whether it's video content, pics, whatever. And then if you're good, people will find you. They will come. You build it, they will come, as I say. And that's how you get things going. All right, let's get to bargain bin special of the night because we got to wrap up. The NFL games are about to start. We already mentioned it earlier in the show. He's on fire. Stop saying that, Ian. Gosh, he's on a roll. He's on a roll. No more fire talk. He's on a roll for the Carolina Hurricanes. Just on a goal explosion here. These last 3 games that started with Toronto. Plus 360, Jordan Staal, Carolina Hurricanes. Jordan Staal, Carolina Hurricanes, plus 360 for me with a bargain bin special of the night. All right, best bets. Seattle, Detroit, over 5.5. I like that one. It's the early game. We used Seattle over 5.5 for best bet yesterday against Buffalo. Won. Let's see if we can make it happen again in back-to-back days. And I like the first period over as well, but we'll go with the full game over here. Seattle, Detroit, over 5.5, minus 130. That is going to be my best bet here for this Sunday NHL card. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button on the way out. We appreciate it very much. And a reminder, we're back tomorrow. The Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. If he stays up on the top line, I just want to address Po Buddy's Nerfict here, which I think he will. I didn't mention this when we talked Seattle, Detroit. He is worth a look. He's worth a bet. Once again, he got an empty net goal the other night, Marco Kasper, against Chicago. So if he's on the top line again for Detroit, his goal prop is definitely worth a bet, in my opinion. That's a wrap. I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Sunday. Enjoy the games and good luck. We'll be back with you tomorrow on Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern for another edition of the Ice Guys.